In Como Rome, you have this stop motion drawing animation, which presents this modernized version of the Romeo and Juliet tragedy, spoken from a Mexican point of view. And these sketches, these black and white sketches, appear as if they're being drawn in real time. And there's moments where the artist uses popularized images like Disney characters or images from fairy tales that we've come to know, and he recreates them into his aesthetic in his own style. And his style is very dark, or her style is very dark. The images get darker and darker. One thing is constant throughout, that no one is smiling in any of the images. And it seems like a very symbolic representation of the family and the outside forces keeping these two apart, separating them. In the images, we see horror, we see terror. That's what we get to feel through them. And we see this image of a heart reappearing several times throughout this piece. And I would be curious to know what the symbolism is of the heart. I assumed that it symbolizes the love between Romeo and Juliet.
Como Romeo and Juliet. Stunning animation, my goodness. I was just marveling at how these came to life in front of me. So much nuance in each of them, and I thought that the soundscape in the background really made for an immersive experience and helped to really tell the story as well without needing that clear dialogue. I would love to see more from this artist because I just thought the attention to detail and the emotional viscerality to each of the images was so striking.
Romeo and Juliet, I loved the art style and what they did with the animation on this. I thought that it was brilliant. I thought that they were very clever how they put this together and how the story then unfolded with this art style and the animation. Um, the sound effects were really, really good, but I think maybe it was just a little bit too hot. It could have been pulled down a little bit to have it blend better with everything else that was going on. But I loved it. I thought that you guys did a great job.
I love the format of this being told via sketch, going from scene to scene. There are a few copyrighted images within the sketches, which might pose some trouble for the animator, such as ones that are iconically Disney. Disney doesn't really like their stuff in controversial things, and so something to consider, but this was really good. The score was great. The first image shaking a little bit was unnerving, but perhaps that's what they were going for. It was really unique in the way it was done with through sketches telling the story and showing like the sketches as they're being drawn and happen is what the feel was. It was happening, but that would be the main concern, is using copyrighted characters in the sketches, because if it gets to the wrong people or the right people or whatever, it could pose some liability issues. So I get what the filmmaker was saying, that they feel like an ugly hag or Pinocchio or whatever, but it's really, or a character from a horror film, but it's really something that's controversial to use, but if it works for them, it works for them.
This film is called Como, Romeo and Juliet. This was a brilliant LGBTQ short. We are treated to some top-notch artistry around the theme of passionate young lovers. I really appreciated the awesome sketches as couples hold on to each other, surrounded by terrifying judgment of monster faces and religious imagery. The editing in the film is so well done. The images were fluid in their movements. The sound design was amazing too, which really captured the eerie city sounds all overlapping. Interesting concept, so well executed. Great job.
This piece of black and white stop motion animation is absolutely incredible. The drawings are impeccable, and to be able to see this develop within movement and animation, I know how much work goes into this type of animation, so I'm aware of how much time and energy went into this short despite the length. The music enhances the sensory space, telling a story in its own pace within the animation sequence. If anyone is familiar with the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, I think you can definitely see the interpretation of the story on the images before you. It is definitely a creative twist on a traditional tale.